Hey folks, very quick intro. This is part two of a discussion myself and Adam had on pieces of advice that we would give our younger self. We've broken it down into two just because it was a long and lengthy discussion. So make sure you obviously listen to part one. If you haven't, you'll still get some value, I'm sure. But if you listen to this, you find some value, you might as well go back and listen to part one, okay? This kind of starts mid-conversation, so that's why I just wanted to have this little intro. So here you go. So that's
Childhood.
a lot with childhood, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
The next stage I feel is a very interesting one, right? It's where most people find themselves reverting back to in terms of the cycle starting again, right? That's the thing that I think of. It's like that stuff was all almost taken care of. Now it's finding
Yeah.
your own desire, your own likes, interests in terms of moving your body.
Yeah.
I think we've had this discussion, haven't we, in private, where we've talked about like the gym being almost like the standard.
Yeah.
Do you know, in the way we are culturally, like
Yeah.
back at a certain stage, it might have been, to gymnastics within schools to have been the standard of physical
Yeah.
activity or physical fitness, physical education. It now seems as if, like, I had a teacher that I was talking to, and she was talking about how within physical education they were teaching the kids to write a gym program, and I was like, oh, this is fascinating.
That's gas.
Like,
where was this?
it's now, I can't remember specifically like
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it was,
Yeah,
but
that's
it was
crazy.
within Ireland. Do you know,
Okay.
like, so this is someone that is involved with teaching teenagers within
Wow.
secondary school, and they were as part of physical education. It could have been like a fourth year project,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. But at some stage,
It's
they
interesting
were
how it's
looking
got in
at,
there.
how do you create a gym program? And I was like, isn't that? So now it's like, okay,
Yeah.
we've taken this, and now it's become
Actually, the
somewhat
golden
of a standard.
standard. Yeah, the golden standard. That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, that says a lot
Yeah.
about the culture.
To
Yeah.
to not to not say that like all things of the gym are negative.
No.
Of course it's
No,
not.
no.
But
But it's interesting.
It is
So
for
interesting because I find, like, we were only talking about this recently. It's great, right? Young people these days are in great nick. Like, the gym that I'm in, I'm like, holy shit! Like, there's young lads that are 18 or whatever, proper physique. Like, I know a lot of lads when I started, like, they weren't getting a lot of it right.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah, making a lot of
information, obviously,
mistakes.
like the information that the lads have now is savage. Like,
Yeah.
we had the bodybuilding.com, and I was following a
Old school
bodybuilder,
when
yeah,
it started, like,
bodybuilders. I was following his nutrition plan, and like you'd get it, you'd put in what you want, and then it'd give you what you should eat. It's crazy amount of food, like, but you'd eat that, and then you'd follow a bodybuilding program. But I think the detail that they have now, or more access to coaches and everything else, is incredible. It's savage to see, like, some of the lads that I was chatting to in there. It's like they're stage ready, but they're not doing it, like, so it's crazy. But that's so interesting because I feel like there's gonna be a loss of curiosity and the essence of people's soul in some way now, and it's not like
make it sound
no,
way worse.
no, but I'm not that's not a negative. That's not negative. But it's like, I thought about this one of the days, and it's like, there's no way that absolutely everyone in this town is attracted to the gym.
That's I think why I wanted to bring this up.
And it's not like, I'm not having a stab because I go to the gym now. I'm saying that's interesting, because if we look at the Matrix, you look at the Matrix, like, I love the Matrix, and it's kind of just looking at that going, are we just copy and pasting each other the whole time, like, and you have to do it. You have to follow someone. If you're fresh on the path, you need
we mimic.
you need the guru, or you need the teacher, you need the person, you need to go into their thing. But I think you need to be mindful of that as well, because it becomes automaton, like a not automaton. It becomes mechanical.
Yes.
And then there's the essence, the joy, the creativity. There's a lot of things that can get lost in that, which we need. We need it. Like, that's a big need. Like, you're gonna see at some point, you'll go back and you'll be like, fuck, I I need to break out of this and do something different, and maybe you'll go to music or art or whatever.
Yeah.
But in movement, I think we need it as well.
Yeah.
We need the creative stuff, and you could probably talk about that now. But I went off on a
The
tangent
switch.
there. Yeah, just that need for it, because we obviously were in the gym and doing whatever, and then you felt some sort of pull or urge to do different things, and a new path, let's say, has shown itself.
Yes, yeah. I think it's something I'd maybe realized more recently, that it's very interesting, right? Isn't it, that, like we were saying, the essence of play, the idea that there's kind of like your activity is taken care of up to a certain point.
Yeah.
And then this becomes a moment of, right, well, what are you gonna do? Because now you're the one that is, in control of the wheel. You're the one making the decisions as to, am I gonna do more of this, less of this? Am I gonna explore something? And I think when it comes to we understand within our culture then now that the gym is seen as this very big thing that most people should do, or at least that's what the culture would have you believe. You see this, you should be training a certain amount of time for weeks, and while we call it physical activity, a lot of people kind of associate physical activity and gym as the same thing.
Yeah.
So in their mind, it's like, I need to go to the gym 3 times a week.
Yeah.
That's what I need to do.
Yeah.
When for that, it's kind of like, well, don't try to associate the gym itself with
physical activity.
Take those two apart and say the gym is a form of physical activity.
Yeah.
So when you take that into account, you now have this idea of, well, what can I go and discover?
Yeah.
What can I explore? What can I see that I'm attracted to?
Yeah.
Like, I used to have it in the gym all the time when I was running the place in Clonski, and there'd be people who'd come in and they'd try out for a period of time and they'd say, like, this isn't for me. And I'm like, cool, that's understandable. I was never like, while there was a part of me that was obviously like, oh, come on, like, stick it out for a period of time. But I swear you'll get way more from it. You've only tried it now for, say, like a month, it's like whatever period of time. But there was always a part of me that was like, look, I want to play both sides of, almost good cop, bad cop here. I want to tell you that, like, look, you need to be consistent with something longer term to really see value from it. Like, I mean, when we think back in terms of the periods of time that we had trained, like, it needs to be 3-6 month periods before you potentially start to see the result that's required from you. So there is a level of discipline and resilience that you need to develop to see the result. But then the other side of me was always like, just make sure you go and find something. Yeah. Just make sure you see, while you're stopping this, don't leave like a massive period. Like, go continue to explore, find a class that you enjoy, find an activity, find a sport, find something that will keep you regularly active, because that's the important thing. Yeah. Because that's gonna give you more. If it's something that gives you way more than the gym is getting and keeps you active long term. Yeah. That's the aim. Yeah. That's the thing that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, very much aligned with that big time, because I said it to people while I was dancing and still working in the gym. I was like, my cardio fitness and everything is savage after a year, and I'm doing 2 gym sessions and the rest is all dance. And it's like, people who would come and then not be consistent or whatever, it's like, go dance. If it sounds like something you like, go do it. Like, don't spend any time here you don't want to, or go find what it is, because it's like, it's not like you can't just not move. There's something in you that needs to move, and then it just needs to find what that is. It's essential.
I guess it takes time to realize that, because I suppose when you're at that age coming out, it's not as if there's
an obvious...
it's entropy, right? Because you've worked till a certain point where you've been so physically active for such a long period of time that you are a physically active being, and there's years and years of work within staying active that has allowed that to happen. The deterioration and the disorganization, the entropy that then starts to happen, is as a result of not continuing something. So at what stage does the scale now to start to weigh the opposite side?
That's when you play Russian roulette. That's when you you have to do that. You have to pull the trigger. That's the other side.
Pull the trigger.
You need to do something.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
But that's what I mean is there's often a case of, like, potentially you're coming into the activity with the wrong mindset. Yeah. Right? Because now it's as a result of needing the activity that you're doing to give you something more. Yeah. Because you've maybe started to notice, oh, my knees are a bit sore, my back is a bit sore, my this, whatever it might be, whatever reason
Oh,
you're
sorry.
getting
I
into it.
thought you meant like you're in that kind of lost space.
Yes,
So
yeah,
like
but it's both.
that's what
Like,
that's what I
that's
meant.
that's not
Sorry.
often. That's not like my scenario there, where someone's coming in maybe with physical, some form of pain, some
Yeah.
form of discomfort, something that they want to work away from,
Yeah, yeah.
being the motivator. Like, you're talking about it in the scenario of, I'm now in this no man's land.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know
And
what
I
to
don't
do.
I don't have anything that I'm running away from, but I know
Yeah.
I need to work towards something,
Yeah.
because I want something.
Yeah,
I want juice. I want
some
squeeze.
some sort of physical activity.
Yeah.
I want it, but
So you want that to come from some form of physical activity. That's where you play Russian roulette.
yeah, like just you make it. No, I meant like what I thought where you were going with it was that this kind of stage where you're coming into not having organized stuff and you've been physically active, but then you're in this no man's land. It's just more than pick a project.
Yeah.
Like that's I think it's a really good one, because you can overthink it and then go, well, I've been doing this plan and I've been doing it this way, and then the tendency is to go back to what you were doing before that wasn't working. Sometimes you go back to the routine that you used to do, but it's like, just choose a project. That I think that's where I was going with that.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying in terms of trying to get away from pain or whatever else like that, but that's a different topic altogether, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I know we're kind of glancing over it to some degree here, but it is typically the scenario in which people maybe come into the gym.
Yeah.
Come into those spaces because they want they want something to combat this sort of negative feeling in the body that maybe wasn't there for such a long period of time.
Get rid of weight, get rid of pain, get rid of certain feelings. These are things that generally come up. It's like, it's interesting though, because it's like, I was listening to Sam Harris's Waking Up app. I just did a 10-minute one of the days, and he was trying to explain just this thing of not trying to change experience when it comes to a meditation. Don't come here to try change anything. It's just to experience that. I think that's so interesting when you look at then how you go into something, like to get rid of this thing. You'll see it in January. It's like, get this off me. Like, get this weight off me. And I understand it. It's like, because you've been, it's a more lethargic feeling. Like, I've been there where you put on a bit of weight or whatever else it is, and you're just like, get this off me. You get off a plane, you're like, I just can't wait to sweat and just move. Do you know? Get sweating and moving. I understand it so much, but it's just knowing that past that thing, that stage, that it's like, then it's more like a project or a thing that you're kind of going towards. Yeah, it's interesting.
Because I guess what comes as the thing that I always try to pull back to is, what do you find yourself what can you find yourself doing on a very regular basis consistently? And it's not to say that, like, we can look at it from two angles, and we can say, if we're talking about that play aspect, and we're saying, discover those things, discover those things that give you life, that give you something more. But then it also has to be something that is, you can't go and snort cocaine 7 days a week, because that's going to lead to some bad things. So it obviously has to be in the context of
not
something.
If you're the Wolf of Wall Street. He did all right. He's doing all right for himself. No, no, I'm only messing. But like,
so if those are it's the same end, but two different ways. One is conducive to life. One is not so conducive to life. So as a result, then the aspect of looking at physical activity in my mind has always been, I want something that I'm going to enjoy, for whatever period of time that I do it for. And even though that might be the target right now, it's an understanding that, like, I'm wanting more potentially from what I'm doing, but the current goal is not the overall goal. Like, the overall goal is play. The overall goal is enjoyment out of it, something more from my practice, even though I may have individual targets within it right now. Like, I think back to stages where it's like, I got into the gym, I was doing it in tandem with different sports, and I started gradually moving away from sports and into the gym. like most people, the first context you come into is bodybuilding.
Yeah.
At a young age, you respond quite easily to it. Like, you're full of testosterone, so
Yeah.
you start packing on weight like easily to some degree. It's not as
Yeah.
if there's no effort put in. Like, you consistently train. Like,
Yeah.
you start to see that response. You start eating better. There's all those different things that come as a result. But the even though that was my focus then, it's like doing something with the body really was the meta position. That's what kept me healthy, kept me continuing.
Yeah.
Eventually it
Yeah,
changed
yeah.
to, I actually wanted to focus on getting a little bit stronger. You
Yeah.
know, then it was I injured
Jiu-jitsu.
myself, and it was it was
jiu-jitsu.
exploring another thing. It was
Yeah.
it was too much time in the gym environment,
Yeah.
not enough organized sport.
Yeah.
I wanted to go and do something a little bit more open, so I tried jiu-jitsu. Got
Yeah.
injured, then it was into the dungeon, into the
Yeah.
hole of
Yeah,
needing
yeah.
to deal with an injury and
dark night
navigating
of the
that
soul.
aspect of movement, or what it meant to me. Then recovering from that, having a different perspective and a different focus. It's like,
Yeah.
while they're all individual stages,
Yeah.
you know, that I had a specific goal, it's like staying active was the aim.
Yeah.
Being
That's the
physically
big
active.
overarching thing that I always kind of talk about John Young. It's just moving. That on some side, it's like people who move well move often, and it's like they move often. It's like they're not, maybe they lower their standards when they're doing really they're really busy. It's like 10 minutes, grand, 10 minutes or 10 hours, I don't care. It's like I'm moving. One of the days where I was doing like a 9-hour shift, and then I had a few minutes here in the morning, which I always give myself as coffee, I set the interval bell. It's like 10 minutes of just moving things, not even like a plan or nothing like that. Roll on the floor, move my neck, it's to stay moving, because like, I know it comes from the place of when you're banged up, maybe. It's like you just see how much value there is in just getting your body moving a little bit even each day. I think more like, so from the advice from young age to the no man's land, let's say, or breaking away from sports, I think I can probably, like, you know, if I'm being honest in my own experience from falling off the path, which happens to a lot of people who come to the gym or come to us, like, or, you know, like the teen years for me when I did sports and whatever else like that, it's like falling into bad health, you know, smoking, drinking, drugs, all that stuff, and not having good health for a long time. It's something definitely that it's a whole different story probably at some point, but it's more like, I think what you were saying on the side of staying active, keeping moving, feeling the health benefits, the vitality of that, and having that as a thing to land on. Do you know, it's kind of like breath work, or, you know, physical activity, or we did fucking trail running during the lockdown, which was a massive injection of life into the week. Like, it's really looking past a lot of maybe what it is you're doing, and just seeing like this thing is vital. You know, like, I feel it definitely, like, if there was anything that I fell back on, it was fitness. You know, it was something that gave my life another direction. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like it's, if you look at it from a very deep level, it's like, it's something that we're all kind of connected through. It's something that we all need. It's something that you're going to be a dad. It's like, it's something then that also, there's something in that to be like, I'm a physically active dad. Or, you know, there's so much in it that's just, it's huge. Do you know what I mean? I feel it's something I definitely have only kind of explored the last, you know, year or so, but it's a big thing. And the more people I talk to, they who aren't doing too good with their health, or maybe they've fell very far off the path, I'm done with that thing. You know, I'm finished with fitness. Someone said to me, my fitness thing is done, and they used to be big into the gym, but it's because they've kids now and they're busy and stuff like that. And it's like, you're not done with it.
Yeah. You're never it's
done
that whole thing of,
Yeah.
it seems strange obviously to say it out loud, but it's like, you're never done with it.
No, when
in
he
a way.
said it to
It's
me, I was like,
it's just
no, you're
at
not.
what level you know, how much time and effort are you really giving it, you know?
Yeah, and it's more how you're approaching it as well. Because I know this person who said, I'm done with that, how they're approaching it is one way. Because it's the gold
it's
standard.
the rigidness of what used to be the way they were organized.
Exactly.
You know, however long the session was, however many times per week, whatever sort of
their approach to it, how they're coaching themselves. Like, this is a big thing probably from this whole conversation. I feel coaching yourself is like the way in which you're saying you have to do these things, or you have to go to the gym, or you have to go and do this, or because there's influences obviously, and we're talking about the gold standard. It's like, it's deadly that people are active, it's great that people are going to the gym. It's just to know that there's so much possibilities in this stuff that is also vital for you to do and try and get out there and experience. And there's, because it feeds into so much. Like, older people, like when you get older, it's like Anna, her granny is 94 and she's able to do a plank, and she's out there, like she's out going to gigs, she's doing shit, like she's going and exploring, and like she's going to concerts and doing whatever, but it's like she's 94. Like, how many 94-year-olds that can do a plank and they're still training and stuff like that? It's rare. So like, I see this as a big thing, that it's huge, and it's like you're never done with it, and you're also it you need it, and it needs you. It needs to be part of some part of your week. You know, it's primal. It's in us, and it's not going away anywhere. And if you leave it, I think there's what I was saying earlier on. Like, I obviously saying, like, your spirit and your essence is gone, and I'm saying that like in a way that it's just interesting that everyone's doing the same thing. I'm not judging. I'm just saying it's interesting that everyone is doing the same thing, and that I think there are lots of people out there, because I always took note of it in messages, or someone would tag me on something, and I'd be like, isn't that funny? I don't talk to that person, and they tagged me in this because they're thinking about me through social media or whatever else it is. It's like, they want to try that, but they're not doing it. Yeah. Either, because it's fear or whatever else it is, and it's like, we need people to do that stuff. Yeah. They need to follow that. Column that you used to train, and I trained, he went and did ballet after coming and watching the show. He's like, I've been thinking about this for 10 years. So there's something in everyone that they need to go and explore this stuff, like, and that's why projects are probably really good shouts for adults. Projects are really good, because it's like, forget about what we're going to teach in movement and all this stuff. This is a phase for the next while. Yeah. And come and try it out and do it and see if it's for you. Like, the handstand is something the two of us are doing right now, but then me and you might be on a different field, next year.
I know it's a certain stage right now, but it's not the be all and end all. It never will be.
It's not the full thing. Yeah. It's just more a phase in our lives that we're like, this is meaningful. I'm finding a lot in it. I'm getting a lot from it. And then when that changes, I need to find different ways.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing either, right?
No,
because that's the mentality that your man had, that you were talking about, where if it's not when I was at my best, then it's subpar, it's not worth it. It's not.
Yeah, that's a big
it's
thing.
No longer
isn't it?
Valuable,
like people will go like, well, I seen a picture of myself when I started in David Lloyd, and I seen it, I don't know where it was, from absolutely shredded. Like, I was doing the gymnastic phase there at the time, the muscle ups, and oh my god, I was like, and then for a second though, my brain went towards, I want that body. And then I was like, don't be absurd. I was like, you're single, you're working 40 hours a week and doing I'll probably do more training now, but like, I was smashing like the sessions, and I was teaching classes and doing this, so like, I'd say 6 to 7% body fat on me the whole time, and I'm like, I'm all right. Like, I don't need to go. I don't need to go after that. Like, a bit of fluff is all right.
Yeah, exactly. I always think for yourself, the thing you always talked about, the time when you were doing the gymnastic rings and you were working towards the muscle up. I always remember you talking about this is a big thing in terms of the achievement. Yeah. Right. So like, what was your experience with working towards the goal itself, and then the achievement of the goal? Like, is there a lesson to be learned from that?
Yeah, like, this is the cultural kind of influences, and like I'm glad I did it, because I think there's a lot to go after something and then it being not what you expected, or you go after something and it kind of doesn't mean too much at the end, because you find out. You know, it's like you have to find out. So, I was very influenced by movement culture. Like I remember the video that was talking about, is it just for physique, and is that all that you're about? And I just remember going, oh my god, I was like, I like that's all I'm doing. It's just to look good. And it's like, what can I do? Like, I can't scratch my back, you know. Like, it was just more that them realizations gone. I want to move well. I want to be able to move a bit more freely. And I started just jumping into stuff. And then I got a coach, and I was like, the muscle up was the gold standard of that kind of point. And I remember just working hard. Like, I was doing the full time in the gym, like 40-50 hours. I was going from Selbridge to fucking Dublin every day, and then when I moved in, you know, I kept going for it, and it was like, it was a lot of intensity, like for 4 days a week, 2 hour sessions each session, and then I'd do my shift, and then you know, I'd have all my meals prepped and all that stuff, and it was good. Like, but at the end of it, when I got to the ring, because of how I went at it, and I think it wasn't me that set the intention, or it wasn't a real strong pull from within me. It was more of a gold standard.
Yeah.
And when I got to it, my ex-girlfriend, I was like, nah, whatever. I don't really care about it. Like, I just remember that moment. She was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I was like, yeah. I was like, whatever. Like, I had to do it, you know.
Yeah.
I needed, there was something in me that I just wanted to do. I wanted to get to that point, and it was the kind of, then you're in the no man's land again.
Yeah.
You're just
so
like...
is it the thing that I'm kind of gathering from that is, it seemed as if there was a focus.
Yeah.
It brought you purpose at that moment, as in it kept you consistent.
Yeah, 100%.
But the minute the thing was achieved,
it was,
there was nothing to be gained.
It's expectations probably as well. Like, there's loads of stuff going on there that, like, I wasn't journaling or writing or doing a lot of the stuff that I would do now, or like sitting and kind of listening a little bit more. Like, that was non-existent. There was no meditation or anything like that back then.
It was just
it was go, like, because I didn't have a minute in the day. Like, I was getting two buses from Selbridge to Dublin to Dave Lloyd, and then I would do an 8-hour shift, and I'd do 2 hours of training with that. So that's a full day. Like, the whole day is gone. So I'd get up really early, go get the bus, get in there, train, then I'd do my shift, then I get 2 buses back, go to bed, repeat that for months, until I moved into Dublin. And I did that while then, you know, trying to live a life, like, you know, like, and then they'd fucking call you in on the days off, like, you know, but no, it's like, come into this meeting, but anyway,
that was always so stupid.
Yeah, it's like,
come into this one meeting where you're not really needed, we just need you there.
Yeah,
and it's like, it's my day off, you're asking me to come in for a 30-minute meeting.
Yeah,
like,
so no, it was just more that side.
But
rant. No, but it's like, but it was intense, and there wasn't a moment in the day, there wasn't, and but I made time for the practice. That was it. Like, it was just my non-negotiable. It was like, I'm doing this fully, and I wanted to. This is where, you know, I got told, like, if you want to have strong legs, double bodyweight squats are the standard again, and that killed me, because it was so intense. Like, I was doing 2 really heavy full leg sessions a week, and then the gymnastic training, and then the shifts, and it was intense. But when I look back at it, it's like, it builds something. Like, it got me very... There's value in suffering. Like, it's like, I built consistency. It turned me into someone that I wasn't yet. It bridged the gap between me kind of thinking about this stuff and then, like, doing it, because it's like, where to start when you look at this vast kind of world. It's like, all right, let's go. And then it gave me a lot of focus, and then I was able to feed that back into people who I work at in the gym, because you're gathering experience, and there was a few people who were interested in the rings and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, that was, I think they're natural, aren't they? Like, you need to go at certain things, and it's like, I think that was a more unconscious thing, but it had lots of value in terms of what it did for me.
Yeah.
It got me in order. Like I was very
But
consistent.
in my mind, it's like it's the whole thing of what we're trying to say in terms of the goal not necessarily being
the be
the
all and
thing
end
that
all.
you'll get from it, the be all and end all. Exactly.
Yeah.
That it's like you had achieved the goal of getting to the muscle up, and you were so like,
let's go.
after it,
Yeah.
that when you'd achieved it, it was kind of like this. I don't want to say emptiness. It was just more of a like, oh,
Whatever.
cool.
Yeah. And I
when
think that's
really what you were getting from it was like, you know, the discipline, the level
Yeah.
of resilience, the focus,
Yeah.
the those things that can all be, you know, it's like a bank now for you, that like that's possible. You
Yeah.
have that experience. Like
Yeah.
for a lot of people, they don't necessarily go through those moments of disciplining oneself.
Yeah.
Like if anything, we are you know, we're scattered and undisciplined in many ways, and I'm not trying to say that I'm great, I'm perfect.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I am undisciplined in many ways, but
Yeah.
at least I know there are aspects that I have learned to gain some level of autonomy over myself,
Yeah.
to be able to see that like, oh yeah, when it comes to these aspects of things, I'm not listening to a side of myself that wants to resist it. It's like, no, we are doing this.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the part of me that wants to do this is stronger than the part of me that doesn't want to do this. So having that experience is a lot
100%,
for
yeah.
someone, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like the external thing wasn't really the aim. It was the internal change that you got from it.
Yeah, like I think it's just more like, it's, what is that thing? It's the rectification. It is that line. Now, like, it's when you draw that line, you're like, this is what I'm going for. It's mad now. Like, this is perspective from now. You know, what we're talking about now is very much hindsight, looking back.
It's
and that's great.
different,
So
right?
I have to say that, because it's like, looking at it now, it's like I'm drawing this line. I know exactly where I want to go, and then everything in between is. Have you seen that? You know, how
Hey,
are you
girl,
doing? How you
I'm
doing?
so-
Yes, don't
it's
say
just-
that. But yeah, it's like how you doing? It's like, I'm good. I was like, hey. And it's like, that's what I seen it. I was during the week. I was like, I'm drawing this line to where I'm going, and then everything else in between. It's like, I don't know what you want. If I'm lost, and wait. It's like I'll be compassionate, but also that's so natural. Do you know what I mean?
It's just such a great application of the concept of how you need to sit with that side of you that's like, oh, but I don't
Yeah. But I don't know what to do, and I don't know where I am. I'm lost. It's because it's real. Like,
it's just you're moaning. Like.
Yeah, exactly. Like I thought about it during the week, and I was like, oh yeah, that is it. Like, so if you set a direction, and then after you've set it, like, you've really gone like, okay, I'm gonna get to the end point of the handstand or wherever it is. And then after that, you just have to listen to this noise of like, what is this? I've already made the choice. I'm going there.
Yeah.
Like that's it's really useful, because it's taking you out. Because you know that one I sent you on he's Ronan, but he's also Ivan. But there's many Ivans and Ronans in there, and it's like, it really, if you watch all this, you don't even need to go to the cinema. Do you know that one I sent you from I'm using it I'm doing a very bad job on it, but it's from the book In Search of the Miraculous. Remember I sent you? It's like,
eyes.
if you observe the many eyes,
excuse me.
you don't need to go to the cinema. And in that one I was reading, I was like, oh, that's it's bang on, because it's just like, how many things when you've set the direction have came up.
Yeah.
Like, how many things, like when we went to Vienna, it's like all this. No, but we're here for the year. Silence, please.
But that thing, the many eyes, has been such a valuable thing for me to kind of understand the internal environment that happens. You know, the way I've explained it to people is like the idea is like who sets the commitment and who participates in the commitment. So if I set myself, we've all been through this experience, you know, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna, you know, on Tuesday at 6 p.m. I'm going to the gym.
Yeah.
That's the person that sets the goal or sets the target. When it comes to Tuesday at 6 p.m., what's different? Who's the person now? It's the person who's like, oh fuck, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, it's Michael.
And that happens. It's no longer Adam, it's Michael. It's actually a different
character,
a different version of you.
Yeah.
now taking the reins, like having to go through the action. It's like when you look at yourself internally as that image of the many eyes, it's like it's just multiple eyes. Like I say that as in like the I, the self, it's multiple selves within my embodiment that is actually going about the world. So while I've said to myself, like, I'm committing to this, I'm going and do it, how many times does that whole the other eyes then come in and go,
yeah. We'll draw this up. We'll draw this out. This is going to be the image of that part. You'll do it. But it is interesting. Like, and that's a battle, isn't it? Like, it's somewhat of a battle still. Like, because you know when you say I'm doing this thing, there's also that I that does that, and it's so that way that like for me, I've felt it before where I'm this, and then it's like it doesn't even happen because it's just so this. Do you know what I mean? Where it's more like, all right, you're just gonna step, you know, and tip in here. But it is interesting because I said it about certain journeys of this, like handstands or whatever else it is. I think that's a skill that I didn't have before I did the muscle up. I would always kind of go in and out of certain things, like I did kickboxing, and like it's things that I went into I was good at, but then I went in and I was like, meh, and I just went out. But then when I seen this, I was like, I'm going to the end with this. I don't care. I was like, that's it. But that wasn't a skill I had, so I think it's really useful. But yeah, that's a golden part. That one. To keep that. But yeah, I think brain. Go derp. Brain go derp there. Hold on, wait. But where are we now? Where am I?
So please tell me where we are. What is the map? So I think this would be a good opportunity for us to wrap up what we were saying in terms of that stage of where you get to when you are now the one kind of making the decision in terms of movement. Because as we've said at the start, it's the kid with play that's somewhat unconscious. It's responsive to the environment. Like, kids just naturally want to play. And you know, we've already covered, like, that's the thing that we should really want, that we should go back to, is play within what we're doing. You know, the next is kind of that, it's that jump of, you know, I'm sure it's not the same for everyone. You know, someone goes into dance, someone goes into something different, but there's some form of organization now, some form of objective maybe to what it is that you're doing now in terms of your movement. And most likely you've been put into that. You know, your parents have thrown you into those things, whether it's loads of them, whether it's none of them, whether it's one of them, whatever, and that brings about its own lessons, its own learnings that we've discussed. Then
you're into
the next aspect seems to be like, now it's you're in control. You are the one that makes the decision, and for different people it's different decisions. I know for myself, I stayed in some form of activity. I was someone who was heavily identified with physical activity, with my body, so as a result I kept up those kind of things. We've gone on various different scenarios just there as to like what can happen and what can be some of the more guiding things, some of the things that maybe gave us a little bit of value. I'm sure this is one that we could take those different scenarios and go from here. But what I think would be valuable is maybe to give someone a piece of advice in terms of like for myself personally, right? I had this being said the other day as to like someone who was in and out of activity saying, you know, oh, I always kind of go back to this kind of stuff, or you know, like you've said, someone just gets back into the gym because that's the thing that they had done recently. And I suppose what I have for myself is the objective or the subjective experience of being able to say, oh yeah, I was in and out of different things, and there might have been a period of kind of like lower activity, but I eventually got back into being
back
active
on the path.
very regularly, very consistently. So what is potentially the piece of advice, you know, we've given ourselves those pieces of advice, but what is potentially the piece of advice to give someone? I don't even want to say to someone, right? Because it's an experience that I haven't necessarily had where I've been out of things for a very long period of time. I guess what I'm trying to say here is the perspective that I've always had, or the thing that I've always thought of is, what can I do that I'm going to enjoy from now on?
Yeah.
And I guess as a result, like that piece of advice that can be given as a piece of advice to someone else to their next decision in terms of what they want to do in terms of movement. And I know we've got January around the corner. It's such a big period for people to kind of, you know, naturally the seasons change. We come to a more reflective state of mind in the winter time. We're indoors a lot more. We're not exposed to the sun as much. So I think naturally the energy lowers as a result. It's not like, you know, you can resist against that, but naturally there's always a reflective period around this time. So with that, a resolution comes, and a new target, a thing of I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. It could be any aspect of life, but majority of the times it comes to a physical aspect. We've been in this industry for fucking years. You know, we have seen people come into some form of physical activity and be successful or not successful. We have worked with people who have fallen off the wagon. You know, those kind of cliche things, or someone. We've also worked with people that have been found something they enjoy, kept it up consistently, been very healthy and gained a lot from it. And we've also, I suppose, seen people that have excelled in the sense that they've continued very goal directed, physical oriented stuff where they've continued to try. So like those being the potential things that could happen, it's like, of course the person wants to have success, right? The person coming into physical activity in January wants to do something, and yes, they might have the objective of trying to lose weight, trying to get in better shape, fitter, faster, stronger. All of those different things can come as the goal, but what are maybe the things that the person should actually focus on? Because if we've said, right, those are the things that we did focus on for a period of time, like you did with the rings, it's like you were so focused, but there was something else. Do you know?
I would say this, because it's exactly what we're talking about, and it's came in there a second ago. Ask, if when you're approaching January, probably ask this question: is how would you approach this if you were a kid in the new year? Because most likely what we've experienced, and we've worked in fitness and everything else like that, you wouldn't be like, get the fucking, maybe you would actually get that weight off you, get this off, burn that, you know. And I'm just using the extreme side of it. I think that you should open it up and be like, what was I curious about? What did I not try? What's something new that I could try? What is something that catches my eye, or I feel a strong attraction to, or is something that I look at in awe? If you start with them, this is a reflection kind of period. If you start with that, I think you will go on a good journey. I think in the new year, because what I see from a lot of times, and I've done it myself, is when I fall off the path and I go for a bit, and this can happen very much this period, is then it becomes this kind of like, you know, get it, like go get it. Like it's great because it's a new energy in the new year, but how you are going to sustain that over the year is really important, because it's how do we keep this perspective of this thing that I'm doing is not the thing. It takes some sort of grounding, and then go, okay, I've chose this thing that I'm curious, or I see you know, like whatever, someone watching you and they're like, geez, I really like the improv, or I really like the handstand, or whatever else it is, and it's like, I'd really like to try that in the new year. But then how you would approach that is like, okay, this is a project for the new year and I'm curious about it, and let's start. But keep a lighter touch, like we've been saying that the whole way throughout. Like, what did the sports people maybe need? The lighter touch. What did maybe I need as a kid from the coach, that person, a lighter touch. I think this lighter side is why we're so attracted to maybe Marcello's work, because it really brings a lightness about doing this stuff. And you're gonna go through periods where you need to be a bit heavier to get yourself into action. Sometimes that's the other side of compassion. There's compassion to be you know, soft and light, and then sometimes you need to give yourself a welly, you know, in some way. But I think that kind of curiosity and kind of going, okay, I have a notion. Like, a good way I did it was Instagram. You save people that you find you're attracted to them, and then I look back over and it's like, these are the flavors that I find are pulling me, but I'm doing something now, so I'll leave them for later. That I think if I was to step in front of somebody, I'd be like, just take your time and really try to pull that out, like the what the thing is, you know, whatever that thing is from your heart, because it's so rich. I feel it's so rich, like when you go to dancing for the first time and you're fearful, and you know you're stepping all over your toes and falling all over the place, and then this little grin comes and you loosen a bit, and then you're a bit more free, and you're enjoying the process a little bit more. I feel like not enough people do that when they approach the gym in January. They go at it like, I need to be punished and get this off me. That's a whole different topic, but that's something that is in all of us, and it needs to be addressed by stopping and saying, okay, just a little bit lighter into the new year. I think that's
for sure
a rant on what you asked,
I think it summarizes everything that we had gone to, right? Because we had started off by saying, oh yeah, that was such a big aspect of things when we were younger. So search for that in what you're doing, rather than the focus being, I need to do this, you know, I need to do that. The very aggressive
cultural approach. Also cultural, watch all them things. That's what I would say. If this is it's great that you said that. If this is a reflective period and we're stopping, and you're not too consistent with training and everything else right now, it's like we're stopping, and then we're like, how have I done things so far, and who is that person, and then where is that coming from? Like, where did the muscle come from, where did this come from? And like they're useful things along the way, but if you stop completely, and then you'll hear some sort of whisper. This is something that people talk about, like a little whisper to, like, I want to try that thing, or I want to do that thing. And then if you follow that, I think that's going to be a good journey. You know, I think that's it. That's about it. You know, it's silent, like that's it. Like COVID was kind of like the thing that forced us to be silent. You know, like I think that's where, on the other side of it, a lot of people made a lot of people didn't make good changes. A lot of people did. A lot of people made positive changes and started hiking and swimming and all that stuff, because they got quiet, and they were like, okay, I'm listening to things that are going to enrich me, and I have a few moments outside of work, so I'm going to go do this and try that out. No different with the new year and your resolutions. You know.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I think that is
spot on.
Good thing to finish on. We might split this down into 2 episodes, because
we
probably went for a little bit
we went
than expected.
Yeah, I hope we're on some level, kind of, because it's so funny, these things, isn't it? Like, it's, you get pulled by something that is like the original thing we were talking about. It went off somewhere on this thing, but it's great, because it's such a great thing to be able to pull all this out, because like there's a vast amount of experience. Like that's another thing, is like there's a vast amount of experience, yet still I don't know about you, that it's just yet to come out. And like, you mightn't be able to get that out with writing, and then I just pull a little point, and I'm like, oh shit, give me more of that, like, you know. I don't know, it's not mad, like I keep like hammering on about experience, because
I think the reason why I had started doing the podcast initially was to have these moments of reflection on certain aspects. And I feel certainly like a conversation like this gives you that opportunity. Like, there were a few moments during that where I was kind of like, oh yeah, I just hadn't considered this angle of that experience. Now I have, you know, the conversation led in that direction and allowed me to get there. So I think that's the value of like discussing certain aspects. But, and like, you know, we've had tons of conversations in private that have kind of gone that direction of just a new perspective on something, or something that you've been thinking about during the week. I feel with this, at least, the fact that it's,
you're sitting down,
directed, it's like sit down and talk about this, and just keep going with,
and
it,
some
see what comes up.
tangents, and some
There was no
fucking thing outside though.
No.
So yeah, we're good. Yeah.
Okay, all right,
That's
folks. I will see you soon for another episode. That was pieces of advice, something along those lines. Pieces of advice that I would give my younger self or myself.
There's
in general.
loads. There's loads.
There was tons in that. Hopefully, I'll come up with a better title. All
Yeah,
right. See you
yeah.
soon, folks.